take for. I put a roof over your head. I put food on the table. I put clothes on your back. That's what my mom would say, especially as I got older, about all the things that she did to take care of me, my older brother Darren, and my younger siblings. And to some extent, that was true. But the fact that she kept saying it as more and more as I got older was also part of her way of trying to justify all the things that had happened that didn't go right by saying that she at least did that. It wasn't until I was in my 30s before I really understood that the role of a parent isn't just to feed, clothe, and house someone. That's what prisons do. That's what hospitals and hospices and nursing homes do for the destitute. It's even what homeless shelters try to do. Your mom is supposed to be more, and your parents really are supposed to be more than just providers of basic necessities. After all, you as their son or daughter or someone you are taking care of is it's the sort of the minimal standard, right? Food, clothing, shelter, love, nurturing, education, the ability to think critically, the ability to think independently, the ability to sympathize and empathize with others, to love other folks, to take care of other folks, to dream and have aspirations that you want to achieve, and the willingness and courage and bravery to go after those things. Those are all things that you would want your parents to instill in kids, which is far more than food, clothing, and shelter. This is all the things that I said to my mom during the intervention that I had with my family back in January '02. I said to her that, you did all those things, but your best wasn't good enough. And I didn't say that her best wasn't good enough just to make her feel bad. In purely objective terms, when I think about anyway, the years between 1980 and 1985 or 86, where I pretty much 1 out of every 3 days without food or next to no food in the house. When I think about all the times I would have to take the rent check down to the super for our apartment building, knowing that we're 3 weeks behind on rent, or I'd have to call up Bell Atlantic or NYNEX as it was called back in those days, or New York Telephone if we go even further back, and tell them that we will pay the phone bill in 2 weeks, or we'll pay the phone bill in 7 days, or my younger siblings ran up too much on this 1-800 number. Can we cancel it because he's only 4 years old, kind of thing. Or go to pay Con Edison because we were a week behind on that and we didn't have heat, and go up to the Con Edison office on South First Avenue and East First Street in Mount Vernon to pay the bill. Those are all things I had to do. So I knew full well that our clothes weren't fully taken care of, our shelter wasn't fully taken care of, and our housing wasn't taken care of. So when I said it wasn't good enough, I wasn't talking purely to just spite my mom. It really wasn't good enough from a technical standpoint. But I also said it wasn't good enough, not to hurt my mom, but as part of what I was trying to do was to remind her of the reasons why she came to New York in the first place. She's the one that told me stories growing up, even when as young as I was 5 or 6, about how she wanted to go to college and go get a degree and become a dietitian, or how she wanted me to go to college, and at least reminded me of that a couple of occasions when I was 8 or 9 years old. Or, for that matter, about her dreams about joining the Navy. That's one of the things that she thought about doing when she graduated from high school, but never did. All of those things. She talked at one point about being a chef, about being a cook, about about designing clothes, because she did make her own clothes for a while. All of those things that she thought about doing but never did. And I'm not saying that you don't sacrifice certain things in order to raise your kids. Of course you do. You almost have to, inevitably, if you want them to turn out right? But that doesn't mean that you sacrifice so much to the point where your kids know that you have all these things that you wanted to do and never did. So what you're telling your kids in that sense is, why even have dreams? Why even have aspirations? Why even go after anything? Well, nothing worked out for me, so let me tell you how things can work out for you when you don't have an experience as a parent of things working out for you. It's one of the things I think about with my own kid, regarding myself as a writer, as an educator, as a historian, as a consultant and worker in general too, that yeah, not everything in my life has worked out, but a lot of things have. I wouldn't be doing some of what I'm doing now, obviously, if things hadn't worked out. So when I think about my mom and think about things not being good enough, I'm thinking about things not being good enough for her, not being good enough for her in terms of the person she wanted to turn out to be, in terms of the kinds of relationships she wanted to have with men, being married to someone who was really a breadwinner and a go-getter, and then ended up marrying my dad and my former stepfather. Not exactly paragons of getting things done, to say the least. So I say all that to say that migration, as terrifying and as ugly and awful as it turned out for her, probably made me the person I needed to be. It had to make me the person I needed to be. But I don't think that this is the way you want someone to turn out for the better in order for them to go through literally a river of muck in order to get to the stage where I am now. I think there are easier, less painful, and in fact, more life affirming ways of doing that than living the hellish nightmare that she went through and me being a part of all of that. So it's sort of a bittersweet recording about my mom, about me, about how I see my mom, and to some extent how my mom sees herself.